And as was mentioned earlier in the show, our first segment for today is a conversation with Belize Telemedia Limited. Of course, they have officially launched their new 4G LTE network. And here to tell us more about it is CEO of BTL, Anwar Barrow, and Marketing Executive, Lisa Stanford. Good morning and welcome, and thank you for being here.
Morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having us.
Are we exhausted, or is it a sigh of relief at this point in time?
Well, I think for me at least, it's a mix of both. So while there's been a lot of work put in over the past few months on the project, it really feels good to finally have this phase completed.
Okay.
It is also a mix of both. We've been non-stop for the past couple months, and for the past couple weeks, we've been doing a lot of launch events. So it's definitely a mix of both, and really happy that the customers are happy as well.
Okay. So I want to start off by looking at what this system upgrade is to deliver to the customers of Telemedia. We had the conversation, I think it was 6 months ago, when you had officially launched your launch date. And you were able to meet your objectives. But let's just talk about why this is such a significant step for the company.
Well, about 2.5, almost 3 years ago, we did a total reorganization of the company, and we also reorganized the products and services that we were offering. And we had an existing network, a 4G network, which with that reorganization and those new products, we had new price points, so on and so forth. We saw a tremendous uptake in business, and the network started to get congested. So that is really one of the big reasons for us actually not just upgrading and adding on an LTE layer, but ripping out the entire network, going with a new vendor and launching this new network. So one, customers will get a better experience, not only from the fact that we have this new service, which is LTE Advanced. It's the only LTE Advanced network in Central America and the Caribbean. But they will also have a better experience because the new network can handle the amount of traffic which we've been generating since we started to push the mobile data product more.
Now, what is the total cost of the investment?
The total cost is $14 million over 5 years. We spend about $5 million of that back-ended, so we spend about $35 million more or less on the network, and then we spend another $5 million in maintenance.
And in terms of looking at the efficiency tied in with the cost, obviously being able to upgrade your network as a telecom industry is pretty much how things work in your sector. But being able to balance the cost with the level of efficiency that people can expect is one that you have to be able to justify as well. So let's talk about what this will change for the customers.
Well, that's very important because in terms of managing the company and moving it forward, we have to look at what type of return we're going to get for our shareholders. And so things have to be steered in that particular way. As I said, this is part of an entire reorganization of the company and re-energizing, if you like, of the company. And so we needed this network and this upgrade as a platform upon which to build. So we've done this. We now have the capacity to continue to sell on our mobile network. If you notice, we had slowed down in the past 6 months on that because the network was so congested, and now with this brand new spanking Ferrari, we can go as fast as we like. So that's what we're going to be doing. In 2017, we're going to be expanding the network to get to a lot of other places that we are not at right now. We're going to be adding 40 new cell sites throughout the year. We will add 11 by March, and so we continue to build the network and expand it out.
Now, Lisa, let's look at some of the preparations that have been taking place in preparing for the launch. I know you've had several ad campaigns, just being able to explain to people the steps they'll have to take to access the service. Let's talk about those preparations.
So the preparation, because our customers already used the data that we had before, it was really simply getting them into what they really need now to get onto 4G, LTE. And they really just need three simple things. They needed a new USIM, which we offer at the offices for free if the customer already has a LTE device. They also need an LTE device that we have been pushing in the market for some time now. So most of our customers already have them, and in all our pre-launch activities that we've had, we've been pushing those, and those have a lot of customers have gotten those. And then they also need a data plan, and we have revamped our data plans to be data is data. You don't necessarily need to have a 4G or a 2G or an LTE device. It's any customer that has a device can now get a data plan, and if you have an LTE device, you're on the LTE layer. So we've really simplified our plans for customers, and we make it real easy for our customers to get on to our LTE advanced network. So those are the three simple things that customers need. We have, and since we've launched in November or pre-events, we've gotten so many customers on. It's crazy. The feedback that we've gotten from the customers is very good. Like Anwar said, we had issues with our network before, but now just the mere launching of it in one location, you just see the spike in customer usage and everything, and it's really, really awesome. They really are experiencing LTE advanced speeds.
Now, are there other internal preparations that had to take place? I know you've done quite a bit of restructuring within the company itself, even in how you execute your marketing plan. So let's talk about that for a second.
Well, I think that has been important because we came out in March, as you said, and we had the discussion around, launching this new network. We said we would do it in December. It's a huge project, and we were able to do it successfully by that date, and that speaks to the hard work of the team. That speaks to the leadership in terms of management and how they've been steering the company. And it's been quite challenging. It's been something that is not usual for BTL or a company of that size, especially in Belize, to be on track, on budget, on time. But that's our goal, and our team has been working very hard to do that. Switching from one network to an entirely new network is a bigger undertaking than people might realize, because what happens is that when you buy a network from a particular vendor and you're offering 2G or 3G or 4G or LTE, what it is just overlays. So you don't switch out the entire network. You basically bring in new equipment, you change software, that sort of thing, and you just overlay onto your existing network. And with this project, we have switched out the entire network, taken down all the old antennas, put up new antennas, right through. So it's not as if you have a car and you have souped it up a little bit, you put in a new air intake filter or a new exhaust or whatever the case may be to go a bit faster. It's buying an entire new car.
Okay. Now, given the fact that you had to make all these changes to your network, it meant that your customer experience was, quite frankly, subpar. And you had a number of complaints coming out from users, and some who even decided to switch to a new network because of the challenges they were having. So your work now is really being able to convince customers that they will be having a new experience, and one that will be, I go back again to efficient and consistent. How do you do that?
I think that we had certain areas which were congested. I don't think that the network overall before was performing badly, but there were areas that were congested where people had less than optimal experiences for sure. I think that a lot of people have stayed loyal to us. Even though we had those challenges in particular areas, customers stuck with us, and we appreciate that. That is one of the reasons why a key differentiator between us and our competitor is that you don't pay any extra to have LTE speeds. Once you buy a data plan, like Lisa said, and your phone is compatible, you automatically get on the LTE layer. So for us, data is data. Another big differentiator is that we have a nationwide LTE network. When they launch partially only in certain areas. We have launched with full nationwide LTE capability. A third differentiator would be the availability of devices. We have a wide range, a far wider range of devices than they have. We have the latest, we have the greatest cutting edge devices at great prices.
And on your end, Lisa?
Well, we really appreciate the customers that stuck with us through our previous, issues with our network. And how we get them to stay with us or come back to us is pretty much they're doing it on their own. We've launched a very successful LTE campaign. When you feel the rush. I mean, customers are feeling the rush, and they're speaking on it. If you look on Facebook, there's a lot of customers who are enjoying the speeds that they're getting. They're enjoying the service. There's not much complaints on the data anymore. They really do enjoy what they're getting. And like Anwar said, data is data. We really start at $2, a customer can get LTE speeds. They can get LTE services. They could browse. They could, do everything, have access to the internet faster and all of that. So we really, really made it so that our customers that were loyal to us and those that are coming back to us will stick with us, because they are the one that brought us to where we are.
Now, anytime you start something new, there's always the potential for a bit of growing pains. Have you done sufficient tests to be able to ensure or to minimize any type of challenges or glitches that you face as you proceed with your rollout?
Yes, we have. The technical team has done a very excellent job of doing their testing before we launch in each area. And also the marketing team has been out there getting whatever little glitches we have and passing it to the technical team to ensure that the customer experience is on par. So we have done an extensive testing, both from the technical side and the marketing side, and we still continue to do that today, because it will take a little time for the network to be completely where we want it to be, but that's just in the growing pains of having a new network. So we really, really take much pains in getting all the glitches out before our customers come to us and say, this is what's happening. We take it up and we make sure that we fix it before, it gets worse.
Now, it's often said that when there is competition within a business, the customers are the one to benefit. Let's talk about what you do actively at Belize Telemedia Limited to keep up with competition.
Well, I think that, the launching of this new advanced network, first in the region, Central America, the Caribbean. In fact, I think Verizon just launched in North America, in the US in August, an LTE advanced network, or got to that stage. It's a testament to how we want to be the best. Our aspiration as a company has been to move from one of the lesser competitive telecom companies in the region to one of the more competitive telecom companies in the region by 2020. To be in the top 3 is our aspiration, and I think that if we can do that, or even get anywhere close to that, it's going to be a huge sea change for BTL and for Belize. BTL being the largest telecoms operator in the country. It's very important that we lead the way. And when we do it, and do it to the level that we have to do it, given the size and the complexity of our network, we have to do it right. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but when we do it, we are going to do it to the highest level possible.
And also, and I love the fact that you brought up the ranking within the region, because that has always been one of the detractors in the country, looking at the cost of internet and data. Understandably, we can see where the two companies have been very competitive in trying to reach out as the most cost effective, but it still isn't cost effective enough to be able to conduct business in the country. And if we look at where we rank with the rest of the region, we still are paying a lot to be able to access the internet. So we'll have a faster network with 4G LTE advanced. We'll have, you're saying, a more reliable network, but when will we have a real cost-effective product coming out of the institution?
That's a good question, and I think what happens is that a lot of people mix the mobile side of the business and the fixed side of the business. And the reports that you see coming out from ICT Pulse or so on and so forth are on the fixed side of the business. So on the mobile side, in terms of paying $2 to get 75 megabits of data, so on and so forth, it's cost effective and it's competitive within the region. On the fixed side, it's less competitive and there is more work to do there, and that is what we're working on right now. So our first goal was to get this new mobile network up and out. We've done that. We will continue to optimize the network. We will continue to expand the network, but the bulk of the work in terms of moving from the old network to the new network is done. That's on the mobile side. Your mobile phone, you get data over that, you get the internet over that. That is a completely separate network from the fixed side, which has the landlines into your phone, which you get DSL internet, so on and so forth. That is perhaps the biggest challenge for BTL and the biggest opportunity. So right now we're in the phase of developing a plan. We've done some work in different areas. If you're aware, we've launched HyperNet in Los Lagos and Joseito in Orange Walk and Gristock and New World in Ladyville and so on and so forth. But we have to continue to roll out that program, and that is a fiber-based program. Right now, a lot of the people who are connected through copper wires, which is an old technology. It's about 100 years old. Our network is also very old, and it has a lot of limitations. So on copper, because you use electricity to transmit the signal over copper, water affects it, distance affects it, a bunch of different factors that you don't have on fiber. A copper wire is probably the size of my finger, whereas fiber is a strand of hair in my head, and the fiber is maybe 3 or 4 million times faster and bigger capacity than the copper. So
have you set out a timeline for the upgrade in terms of fixed internet?
We have timelines for certain areas. So there are portions of Belize City that we will complete by June. There are small areas, but what we're working on is a national plan for the entire country. And that's going to take us to finish that plan into March or April of next year. So by that time, we will know exactly what will come on when, but it's a very huge undertaking, and the planning is very important. For me personally, I think planning is very important, because if we plan properly, then once we execute, we'll create value for the shareholders, and the customers will also get a great experience.
Now, before we move into the closing, I want to take the opportunity to talk to you a bit about your CEO role.
Sure.
Of course, it is now public that you will be leaving the position of CEO at BTL.
Sure.
And looking back at the time that you spent as the leader of the company, what would you say have been some of the more challenging moments that you've had to overcome?
Well, I think that just taking up the leadership at the time that I did, it was a time of transition. The board is really the one who asked me to serve and encouraged me to serve. I was on the board. I didn't have any aspiration to lead BTL, but they wanted a change. They wanted to move the company in a different direction, as evidenced by some of the things we've done in terms of, the pricing and the products and this new network and a bunch of different other things that we've taken on. So they wanted to move in that direction, and they need somebody to take them in that direction. And they thought from my participation on the board that I would be able to do that, and my background in terms of my own business. And I agreed to take it on for 3 years, which is the point that we are at. I think that it's been a great challenge for me. It's been a learning experience in a lot of aspects. I've never led a company of this size. I mean, obviously, there are not many companies of this size in Belize or any other company. So it's been a challenge there, but the team has been very supportive. I think we have a clear vision of where we want to go. We've put a lot of things in place, and we're going to get there. I'm confident that we will get a new CEO who will continue the work. Everything has been set out, and pretty much it's a matter of executing and taking BTL to the next level. So for me, it's been a great experience. working with the team that I worked with, developing that team, recruiting new talent, charting a clear vision and getting people behind that vision has been challenging and rewarding, and I have enjoyed every moment of it.
Now, you faced quite a bit of challenges when you were first given the position of CEO, looking at your father as the Prime Minister, and also whether or not you had the experience to be able to do so. Do you feel that you've proven yourself in this position, despite all the concerns that people had when you were first put in the role?
Well, I think that being who I am and being the son of the Prime Minister, obviously there are political implications for me taking on a position like that. But the truth is, the genesis of me taking on that position is really one that has come from the board. And people in the current climate and the way people look at politics, they would be very cynical, and in some respects they have a lot of reason to be. But it's not a situation with BTL where the Prime Minister called and said, well, I would like Anwar to be the CEO. It's actually the reverse, where the board made that decision and went and asked, well, listen, we want to do this. Would it be okay? So that has, my leadership there attracts its own political questioning and controversy. And that's something that, you know, it is what it is, and it will be what it will be. I think in terms of my performance, I am satisfied and happy with it. The general sense I get from the employees is that we've done quite a lot, and there hasn't been any real uprising or revolt, because while people within the company had questions at first and doubts, people have developed a certain level of confidence in what we're doing and us doing what we said we would do. So I think that has been good. I think on the public side, this new network is a big part of that achievement, but I think there's still a lot to go, a lot further to go. And it's really about planning and about setting up the company to do that, because where the company was and where we want to go in terms of being a top telecoms in the region is a far stretch. And so it's not something that you can do in 1 or 2 or 3 years. It's something that takes a while. So you really have to set up the company to do that, and that's what a big part of what I've done.
Now, one of your challenges as well was looking at the profits of the company, and we know that for quite a while there were challenges in that area. You have spoken about being able to make this particular investment and other investments and restructuring within the company with the long-term vision of being able to make BTL more profitable. Do you feel you're on that path now, and how do you justify that?
I don't think there has been a challenge with profits at BTL. BTL has always been a profitable company.
But not as was first projected.
No, I think that what has happened, there's been a challenge in terms of growth. And in my first year in leading the company, we had seen that trend continue because obviously we were setting up the chessboard. And in the second and third years, we have seen growth go through the roof. In terms of profitability, this year, or last financial year, this year's annual report, we saw profits of $22 million, which was all in all very, very good and a peak. I think that, and we have prepared shareholders that there will be in the future a dip in profits as we make this kind of investment, not because of the 4G LTE network particularly, but particularly when we start to roll out fiber. It's very, very expensive, and it's really a strategic play for BTL to continue to be in a leadership position in the future. So a business is such that you have years when you make great profits, and then you have years when you invest, and you invest at the cost of profits in order to continue to make profits in the future. And it's about leading us through those times.
Okay. And any indication as to what's next for you, or who will take up the leadership?
Well, the board is going through the selection process right now. They have shortlisted a number of candidates, and then they're going to move to the second phase in terms of interviewing on the ground and also trying to select a candidate. So I expect that early in the new year they'll be able to make that selection. I'm not on the committee, but there's a governance committee that handles that. In terms of me personally, I have several businesses. I have a lending business. I have an investment business that makes certain investment. And I have a big team over there. So I'm going to be working with them when I lead BTL, and also I have some personal things that I want to take on. So that's what's next for me. And also a little break, because these 3 years have been quite challenging, and the pace has been furious, if you like. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right. And let's close off, Lisa, just one more time in terms of letting people know what they need to do to be a part of 4G LTE Advanced.
Right, so we have officially launched, and so for you to get onto the LTE digital 4G LTE layer, customers need a device, an LTE device. They also need a USIM that we are offering free to any customer who already have an LTE device. And there's a lot of customers out there who already have one, so you could just come in to any office.
You bring your SIM,
you bring your old SIM, and you bring your device, and they will replace your LTE, your SIM, your old SIM with your new SIM. They'll also set up your device for LTE, so when you leave the office, you will be on LTE speeds. You'll be browsing faster and doing everything that you do now a lot faster. And they also just need to buy a data plan for as low as $2, and you could be on the LTE layer. So we encourage all our customers, and also those who are not our customers yet but would like to be, to just come into any BTL office, and we will set you up with digital 4G LTE.
All right. Well, thank you for being here this morning and talking all about this achievement for the company, what it means for customers, and what they can expect. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, it'll be for a conversation with the Scouts Association of Belize. Stay tuned.